Good evening and welcome to Iyun with Mishnayos. Tonight is Mishna Masakas Kilayim Perik Vav Mishnah Beis. Mishnah says Aretz Shu Yotzim in Hamadrega. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Omer Aretz Botzer Askula Reza Oser Arba Amos Pasad Vimlav Eno Oser Ela Kenegdo. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov says a halacha that you have this Aretz we talked about yesterday. We have 5 vines. Normally in our Bichol the Karen has to have 2 rows of vines, at least 3 vines, or 2 and 2 in Yotzei Zanav. But technically, if you have 5 vines in a row, and even in 1 row, and you wrap around the vines around a pergola, so therefore it makes it more of a distinction of a karam. It would have a din of a karam. You have to mark the dalanamos from that, like a karam, like a vineyard. What happens though, if the vines are extended, you extend them upon like a hill, let's say, not necessarily on a pergola, on a hill, and you can't reach it. So if you could reach all the clusters of grapes that grow from the vines on this hill from where you're standing on the ground, so then it would be considered part of the aris, part of this keren technically, and therefore you'd have to be marked out almost from the end of the vines, wherever the vines reach. But if you can't reach all the clusters of grapes that grow from the vines, then the Mishnah says, "Ein oser ela kenegdo." What does it mean kenegdo? Only answers kenegdo. So Rabbi Bartanura says that there's no Isser. It doesn't have din of a karam anymore. It loses din of a karam. If you can't grab all the clusters of grapes that come from this vine, from the place where you're standing, it is no longer considered an aris anymore, and it's no longer considered a karam anymore. And therefore, only the abundance usher to plant something underneath where these vines are. It's no longer a karam. You don't have to mark it out almost even from the ikrei gefanim, even from where the roots of the actual vines grow. The Ram doesn't look like it. The Rambam says if you can't reach it, all it means is that you don't count Dalet Amos from the end of the vines. You carry it from the Ikrei Agfan. You start counting from the Ikrei Agfanim, from where the roots of the vines grow. And you count Dalet Amos, as opposed to if you could reach it, then you would start being Marchik Dalet Amos from where the vines reached. What's the machlokas in Rambam Raja Bartanura? I'd like to suggest they argue about, right? Basically, the argument is whether it's called a karam or not. It loses its status as a karam according to Raji Bar Tanura. If this aris, you can't reach all the grapes, it's on the pergola, it's wrapped around, you can't reach the clusters that grow there, then it's no longer considered a vineyard anymore. It loses the din of a karam. Why is that? What's going on? I think they argue about the nature of the Isser of Klaya karam. We're not going to talk about Klaya Sadeh. Klaya karam is the Isser of mixing things, mixing wheat and grapes, or wheat and barley and grapes, is that an Isser in the Yanika, that by being Yonik, they share the same soil, and therefore it sort of ruins the taste of the grapes and ruins the taste of the wheat. They don't go together. So therefore the Yanika is what's Asr. Or is the Isser of the Kerem not Mishum the Yanika, Mishum the Ervuvia, meaning that the sight, it's an unpleasant sight to see 2 things mixed together. It's an unnatural sight see these 2 things planted together. I like to say this is the machlokas in the Rambam and Raja Tanura. The Rambam would consider it to still be a karam, the aris, right? The aris has 5 grapevines, and it's wrapped around pergola. It's considered to be a karam. Now the Rambam says it's still considered a karam even if you can't reach the ashkolos. You can't reach the clusters. Why is that? Because according to the Rambam, the din of karam, the reason in our is called a karam when you wrap it around the pergola, is because instead of having 2 shuros or 2 rows of 3, it's also because they're vuvia. It has its own status of being a vineyard. It's called a vineyard. So therefore, you have 5 grapevines lined up, and they're wrapped around a pergola. It gives it an extra chashivah. So therefore, it would be considered a karam no matter what because of the look. So therefore, even if you plant within 4 amos of the ikrei gefanim from the original roots, it still looks like an ervuvia. Even though you can't reach the cluster, it still looks like an ervuvia. But according to the Rabbi Tanura, the Isser is the yanika, that it affects the taste of the grapes, and therefore, once already the vines are so detached from the original karam, from the original 5 vines, 5 grapevines, and you can no longer, it's considered detached. Once it's considered detached already, so therefore it no longer has the same presence in the soil. It's not close enough to have the same presence in the soil to give a taste in the soil of grapes, and therefore it wouldn't asr midaraisa, wouldn't be called a caramel to asr midaraisa anymore at all. But